Cloudflare cut 100 jobs, and the same quarter they did it, revenue hit a record high. So Cloudflare just announced its first large-scale layoff, and the way the company framed it is worth paying attention to, because it's different from the kind of layoff announcement we usually see. This wasn't economic headwinds. It wasn't restructuring for future growth, the standard corporate language that means nothing. CEO Matthew Prince was pretty direct about it. AI made these jobs obsolete, specifically support roles. The company looked at what AI could now handle and decided it no longer needed as many people doing that work. That's a meaningful distinction. Companies have been hinting at this for a couple of years, that AI adoption would eventually reduce headcount. Cloudflare is one of the first major tech firms to come out and say, clearly, that it actually happened, and here's the number. 100 people. Support roles. Gone. Not because business was bad, but because the business decided a machine could do it instead. By the way, if this kind of breakdown is useful, we post this every day on WealthOS, worth a follow. Anyway, the part that makes this story more complicated is what was happening financially at the same time. Here's the thing that makes this genuinely uncomfortable to think about. Cloudflare wasn't struggling when they made these cuts. Revenue hit a record high. That's the detail that changes the whole framing of what this layoff is. This wasn't a company in trouble trying to survive. This was a company in growth mode that decided it could grow with fewer people in certain roles. And that's a fundamentally different kind of layoff than what we've seen historically. When a company lays off during a downturn, the story is about the downturn. When a company lays off while posting record revenue, the story is about efficiency, about the decision that human labor in these roles is now more expensive than the AI alternative, and the math has shifted. Matthew Prince's framing was explicit. AI efficiency gains mean they don't need as many support roles. Not we can't afford them, not demand dropped. The work is still there. The revenue is still there. The need for the work to get done is still there. The calculation about who or what does it just changed. That's a structurally different statement than anything we've heard from a major tech company before, at this scale, with this level of directness. What this means for how other companies might respond is where things get really interesting. It's worth slowing down on which jobs specifically got cut, because it's not random. Cloudflare didn't say they were cutting engineers or product teams. The roles singled out are support roles. And that category, customer support, technical support, help desk, service operations, has been the most visible target for AI automation over the past 2 years. The reason is pretty logical when you look at it. Support work, at scale, tends to involve a high volume of repetitive interactions. Questions that get asked thousands of times. Issues that follow recognizable patterns. Responses that can be templated, personalized, and delivered by a language model without a human in the loop. That's not me editorializing. That's exactly the use case AI companies have been selling to enterprise customers since large language models became capable enough to hold a coherent conversation. And Cloudflare, being a major infrastructure company that almost certainly uses AI tools internally, has now confirmed that the pitch works, at least well enough to justify cutting the 100 people. The question that doesn't get answered in the announcement, and this is the genuinely counterintuitive part, is what happens to service quality. Because AI can handle this, and AI handles this as well as a trained human, are not the same claim. We don't have that data from Cloudflare. They didn't say the quality improved, they said the efficiency improved. Those are different things, and it matters. Which raises the bigger question. Is Cloudflare the first, or just the first to say it out loud? Cloudflare being explicit here is notable partly because most companies aren't. There have been plenty of announcements over the past couple of years about AI investment, AI integration, AI efficiency. There have been layoffs at major tech companies. But the direct causal chain, AI is why we're cutting these specific jobs, has mostly been avoided in official communications. Companies know it's a sensitive thing to say. Prince saying it plainly, attributing the layoffs specifically to AI efficiency gains, sets a different kind of precedent. It removes the abstraction. It says, this is the mechanism, this is the result. And if you're a working professional in any kind of support, operations, or service role at any company, not just Cloudflare, this announcement is worth understanding, not panicking about, but understanding. Because the logic Prince described doesn't only apply to Cloudflare's business. The same tools are available to Cloudflare's competitors and to companies in entirely different industries. The economic pressure to adopt them doesn't go away just because the announcement is uncomfortable. Record revenue while cutting headcount is, from a shareholder perspective, a very good outcome. That creates an incentive structure that other companies can observe. What Cloudflare's CEO actually said is worth sitting with for a second before we get to the bigger takeaway. Matthew Prince's framing is the most important part of this story, and it's easy to skim past. He didn't say, "We hope AI will improve efficiency." He didn't say, "We are exploring AI solutions." The language, as reported, is past tense and causal. Because of AI efficiency gains, the company doesn't need as many support roles. That's a CEO making a public statement attributing a specific headcount reduction directly to AI. At a company that is doing well financially. In a quarter where revenue hit a record. That combination, profitable company, explicit AI attribution, large-scale cut, is what makes this different from the usual noise around AI and jobs. This is a data point, a real one. Not a prediction, not a model, not a think piece about what might happen. It happened. The jobs are gone. The revenue is up. The CEO said why. Whether that's a good outcome, a bad outcome, or something more complicated depends entirely on who you're asking. For shareholders, the numbers look good. For 1,100 people who had jobs last month, the outcome is obvious. For the broader workforce in support roles across industries, this is a signal that the theoretical conversation about AI displacement has started producing real results at real companies. Here's what I think is worth holding on to from this story. Cloudflare is a major, credible, well-run tech company. This isn't a startup making claims to attract investors. This isn't a speculative announcement about future capability. This is a company that deployed AI in support functions, evaluated the results, and made a business decision based on those results. A decision that affected 1,100 real jobs at a moment of record financial performance. The story matters because it moves AI job displacement from the theoretical column to the documented column. One company, one announcement, one quarter. But it's a specific, verifiable data point in a conversation that has been heavy on speculation and light on concrete examples. If you work in a field where the work is high volume, pattern-based, and customer-facing, this is worth paying attention to. Not because the sky is falling, but because understanding what's actually happening at companies like Cloudflare is more useful than anything abstract. The time to think about where AI is landing and where it's heading is before it gets to your desk, not after. The TechCrunch article is linked in the description if you want to read the full Cloudflare announcement yourself. We'll keep tracking stories like this as they develop. Subscribe to WealthOS if you want to see them when they come out.